What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel once again. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Creality CR Scan Otter. Now this is their newest scanner, and I have tested out a bunch of other scanners on my channel, but this is their newest one. So we're going to take a look at this one and see how well this one performs. So along with the scanner, they did send me the turntable as well that goes with it, and they wanted me to let you know that the turntable does come standard with the Otter. So I'll go ahead, I'll get this all opened up, unboxed. Let's check this out. Let's get this all hooked up to my computer and let's see how well this performs. So upon opening this, I can see that it does come with a really nice case. So here I have everything laid out on the table, and you can see everything that it came with. Over here on the right, you can see the user manual. You do have the turntable, which I did take out of the box. You have the calibration board. You have the pad that you can use with the markers. You have a little cleaning cloth. It does come with two USB-C connectors if you don't have one and you need one. The scanner itself, it does come with a little owl for you to scan and test, which is actually pretty nice. It does come with the data cable, which to me looks really long just from looking at it, and the power cable, along with the lanyard to hook up, and the little strap for the carrying case. So one thing I really do like about Creality is they usually always send you the carrying case that comes with it. Now with the Scan Ferret, they also gave me the case as well, which I think is really nice. Most of the scanners that I've tested out don't come with a carrying case. It's just, you get the scanner and that's pretty much it. And then you're on your own, whether you want to stick it in your pocket or do what you want. But I definitely like the carrying case, which just adds a better touch to it. So taking a look at the scanner itself, you can see that it does have the projector right in the middle. It does have two close range depth cameras on the side of the projector, and the outside ones are the long range ones. Right here are the two LED fill lights, and then right in the middle is the color camera to pick up any color that you may be using to map it. Flipping it over and taking a look at the back, you do have the start stop button for while you're scanning right in the middle, and you have the up and down for the exposure on either side of the start button. Over on the right hand side, you do have the charging and data interface cable port, which is very simple to use, and it does even have a screw to make it screw in to hold it in tighter. And underneath the camera, it does have a little port for if you want to connect a tripod to it. So I'll go ahead, I'm going to get this all connected to my computer. We're going to try this out, and I'm sure I'll probably just try out this little owl first, since that's what it came with, and that's their little test file. So let's get this hooked up, let's try scanning this owl, and let's go from there. All right, so I have this all hooked up to my computer, and I will just be trying out the little owl, the test that was supplied with it, and I will just be using their turntable that came with it as well. I won't be using a tripod since it didn't come with the tripod, and even though I have multiple tripods I could be using, I won't be using one for this test. And I also have electric turntables too, so I don't have to do it by hand. But since it wasn't supplied, I won't be using one of those. I will just be using everything that this machine came with. So let's head over to the computer, let's boot up the software, and let's go from there, and let's start scanning. All right, so here we are over in Creality Scan 3.1.28. And here's the main screen that it comes to. I can click on device if I need to calibrate it or if I need to do a firmware upgrade, which I've already done that. And once I connected it, it automatically upgraded the firmware for me, so I didn't have to do any of that. But let's go into new scan. We'll give it a project name. Let's just call this test. I'll click OK. And for this, we won't be doing a face or body, so I'll keep it on normal. the size is small. We will leave this on geometry. Accuracy, yes, we want to try and get the best accuracy we can. And I will be using a turntable. So I'll go ahead and click on scan. This is where I want to kind of angle it and hold it up to where I'm in this optimal range right around here. That's where I want to keep it. And you can see as I move it back and forth, it does get worse. And now if I click down here, you can change the distant range. And since I know this isn't going to be that far, I might move this down to, maybe, we'll leave it at 210. And the distance I'll just leave at 100. So once I kind of have this in the optimal range, I'll go ahead and click on Start. And I'll just slowly rotate this, trying to keep it as still as possible and centered in that optimal range. And maybe I'll give this 2 full rotations, kind of moving the scanner up and down while we do this to try and get some of the smaller cracks and areas that we might not have been able to get if it was on a tripod and not moving. So I'll rotate it up, maybe come in a little bit more. Try and get underneath that little egg. Come in a little closer. Now, as you can see, it is picking up some of this turntable, which isn't a big deal because I can just cut that out later, which I'll show you once we kind of get to that point. Now I'll kind of stop in front, move it up, try and get in any cracks or areas that might not have picked it up. Rotate this a little bit more, and I'll go ahead and I'll stop it there. So now that I have that all scanned, that's looking pretty good. I'll go ahead and just click on Complete Scan, click Yes, and here you can see the whole kind of point cloud and everything that it kind of picked up and scanned. Now, as far as this turntable goes, I can pretty much cut out all of that because I'm not going to need it and I don't want it. So if I click on lasso, I can do rectangle or lasso. I'll click on lasso and you have to hold down Shift, and then I can just kind of draw around this area. That looks good. I'll click on delete. I can even zoom in farther, get some of these areas that I don't need as well. So now that we have that, I'll go ahead. I'm going to go into optimization settings on the right hand side, and I want this to kind of be the best I can. So I'm going to push it all the way down to 0.05. Sensitivity I'll leave alone at 1, but you can see that it does give you a description. The higher the sensitivity value, the more points can be retained. So if I lower this, it'll be less points. If I raise it, more points. So I'll go ahead now and I'll just click on that and it will start optimizing. And this will take a minute depending on your computer and how much RAM you have. You can see available memory down here is 8.2 gigs. The more RAM you have, the better off you are. The less, you could struggle or it could take a while and it could even crash or not be able to handle it if you don't have enough RAM. So keep that in mind. But I'll let this do its thing and we'll be back right after that. All right, so this has finished and I think it's looking pretty good. There are a few little spots, as you can see, and some holes that I must have missed while I was scanning it. And obviously the bottom, I couldn't get that because it's sitting on the turntable. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scan this again and rotate it. And so if I go up in here, and since I'm in multi-project board, I can click on this little button, New Project. I'll keep it on small. I'll click on Scan, and then I can rotate the model, as you can see here. And then we'll go ahead and we'll click Scan again and keep on scanning this. And I'll go ahead and I'll stop it right there. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on complete scan once again. We can take a look at this, and I'm just going to remove some of this turntable. Again, hold down the shift key and delete selection. So I'll go back into optimizing. I could do the one-click process, but I'd rather do this manually, and I'm going to lower this down because I want to try and get the best resolution possible. I'll click on optimize, and we'll let this do its thing once again, and we'll be back right after that. All right, so this has finished, and taking a look at this, obviously we couldn't get that part because it was flipped over, but we got the bottom, which is what I wanted to get. I missed a few spots in the back, but that's okay. So now I can go ahead, and since I have these already optimized, I can go into point cloud merging. I'll click on that, and here's the project list. I have scan 1 and scan 2. I'm going to keep this on auto. We'll see what happens, but if it doesn't work, I can go into manual and manually align these. But let's see how auto works. I'll click start. I'll let these merge. So here we're getting a notice the software is not responding. Please restart the software and try import again. So I'm assuming this is because I have the resolution just really high and my computer isn't handling it. So we're going to restart this. Let's re-optimize them and make it the points a little bit higher, and we'll try this again. So I reloaded this back up, and as you can see up in the left, this has over 6.5 million points. That's just on that one. Let's take a look at this one. If I click on it, we'll see how many points this has. And I bet if I keep this, under 3 or 4 million, we might have some better results, and it might not have as much of a problem. But this one too as well has over 5 million points. So I'm going to re-optimize this. I'll set the resolution up. Maybe let's just go to 1 and let's re-optimize it. And hopefully this number should decrease significantly, which should be able to merge them a lot better. So I'll let this optimize, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I re-optimized these to 0.1 instead of 0.05. And the detail still looks really good, but now you see the points went from 6.5 million to 1.8 million for this one. If I click on this one, here we have 1 million instead of 5 million. So now let's go into point cloud merging, and let's try this again. Let's click on both of them. Let's click start. We'll keep it on auto, and we'll see if this is able to handle it a lot faster and easier than with 12 million points. There we go. So now looking at this, I think it did a pretty good job. Looks like it's kind of a little bit of goofiness on the bottom, which I could try auto merging. Maybe let's try that anyways. I'll click on cancel. I'll go into manual mode. I'll click 1 on the fixed window and the second one on the float window. And now what you need to do is pick 3 points that will line up. So maybe I'll go click maybe the edge of the shell. So I'll hold down shift and click right on maybe the edge. And I'll click there. Let's find another point. I'll click the corner of that side of the shell. Shift click, and then I need one more. Maybe the tip right here. I'll click on that. And click tip of that. And let's try start. And we'll see how this merging works and see if this does it a little bit better. And that has finished. And look, looks like it got exactly the same thing that I did before. So I guess to me, the auto worked just fine. I didn't need to do this, but I think it comes out good. So I'll go ahead, I'll click yes. We'll let it optimize this one, and then we'll mesh it and see how that works. So that has finished. So I can go back, exit the merging page, and now here you can see I just have one component, and now I can go into the mesh settings, and up here you see we have now 3 million points. I can change how many faces I want. we're just going to keep it at 1,000,000. Denoise, I'm just going to leave everything else alone, and I'll click on it. We'll let it do its mesh, and then we'll see how this turns out right after that. All right, so this has been meshed, and taking a look at this, I think that looks pretty good. I do still have those weird little hiccups down here, which I actually probably could have removed those in the point cloud before I did all this, but since this is just a test, I think that came out pretty good. And now as far as color mapping goes, I can come down and click on here and click color mapping. We'll let this do its thing and let's see how the color turns out. All right, so the color mapping has finished, and taking a look, I think this did a really good job. You can kind of see some little white spots right here, and that's probably because of my lighting. And I could adjust the lighting on the camera and actually turn on the LEDs to actually make this brighter if I wanted to, but I didn't on this. And I think overall the color looks really good. You can see down here if I turn it back off, original, and you can click it back on color mode. But overall for a first test, I think this did a really good job. So I'm going to go ahead and try a new scan, and I'm just going to try scanning my face real quickly. I'm not going to put too much effort into this, but we're going to kind of see how fast I can do this and kind of go from there. So I'm just going to click on New Scan, and I'll just name this, me, type OK. Object, I'll leave face, feature, geometry, accuracy high, turntable, obviously no, and I'll click on Scan, and I'll shut up for a minute while I do this so it doesn't get me moving. And we'll click Start. And let's just stop it there. And there we go. We'll click Complete. Click Yes. Looks like I missed that side, but that's okay. Let's optimize this. We'll just leave it at 0.3. And I'll go through each one of these and the color mapping, and then we'll see how that works, and we'll be right back right after that. All right, so here is my head, and I think it did a really good job considering that I was trying to do this by myself, and trying to look at the screen while I'm trying to focus on my head it isn't the easiest thing, but I did this pretty fast. It only took like, a minute to do this. And overall, I think it did a pretty good job. I think the detail comes out really good. The eyes is always kind of the trickiest because, I'm moving them and looking at something different while I'm trying to scan it. And I only lost tracking, I think, one time, and I think that was at the top of my head from trying to get it. But let's go and click on the color mapping. I'll turn it on color mode. And yeah, I think that did great. But overall, yeah, I think it did a pretty good job of the color and the mesh and everything. So quite happy with how this turned out, considering this is, again, by yourself trying to do this. I think that's a win. So after running some tests with the scanner, I'll go over some things that I really like about it and a few things that I think could be a little bit better. So first, this is probably the best scanner that I've used so far. It does an excellent job of picking up all the fine detail and everything I was trying to capture, whether it was the owl or my face or something like that. It does a really good job, and it's very easy to use. I really didn't lose tracking at all when trying to scan, other than when I was trying to scan my face and the top of my head. I couldn't really see what I was doing, so I lost tracking there. But other than that, I really didn't lose it, and it did an excellent job of staying on the object I was trying to scan. This is really lightweight and only weighs around 390 grams, so it is rather simple to easily move around your objects while you're trying to scan. I do like that it does come with a really long data cable, so when you have your computer set up on a table, it is rather easy to have your cable reach the object you're trying to scan. I do really like the case that it comes with. It makes it that much easier to take it on the go without just throwing it in your pocket and risk it getting scratched. So definitely a bonus to have a carrying case to go with it. I do like that it does come with a turntable in case you don't have one. I kind of wish it was electronic, but it's really not that big of a deal. So I think the only thing that I really don't like about it is that it doesn't come with a tripod, which isn't really a big deal for me because I have tripods all over the place, so I can easily attach one to it. But for people that are new and you don't have one, you would have to probably go out and purchase your own tripod separately, which again, you can pick one up for really cheap, so it's not that big of a deal. I just wish it would come with one standard, considering it is around $1,000 for this. I think it would be nice to have a tripod to go along with it. So the scanner also isn't able to connect to iOS or Android as of right now, but it does say that it's coming soon, so I am looking forward to using that option because it does make it so much easier to have the screen of what you're looking at right in front of you instead of trying to look back and forth at a computer screen while you're trying to scan. So going over their software, I think it's very simple to use. There really isn't that much to it. It's easy to start a new scan, open a previous one. I can click on this little arrow off to the side and click on, an owl. Using their toolbars are very simple. To delete things, you can just hold down the shift key, select what you want to delete, and click on delete. If you're not happy, you can undo that. Their optimization and processing is very simple to use. Keep in mind though that when you are merging certain things or you're trying to optimize it, if your computer doesn't have enough RAM or it's not powerful enough, you may run into some hiccups and you may need to adjust your resolution depending on the power and speed of your computer. While you're in scan mode, you can adjust the IR exposure from auto to manual if you want to do it that way. I just keep it on auto for the time being. But again, with the RGB exposure for the color mapping, you can have that set to auto or manual if you want to adjust it that way. And if you need to use the lights that are actually on the camera, you can turn those on and off as well if you want to try and pick up a little bit better coloring. Processing your scans is really easy, and if you are a beginner, you can just click on the one-click processing and let it do its thing. But if you are more advanced or you want to try and get better detail or higher quality, you can manually do it yourself and do it that way. So once you're happy with your scan, you can just easily export it by clicking on the button in the lower right-hand corner and choose whether you want PLY, STL, or an object file. If you do need any help with their software or any of their scanners, you can just click on the wiki or tutorial or download center, and that will bring up the page where you can easily get all the information you need, along with instructions and video tutorials to help you the best way that they can. So I also headed over to my mom's house and I scanned her as well, and this was done in body mode, and I think it did a really good job. There are a few little blemishes, in the shirt, but overall, I'm quite happy with it. The entire body was just one scan, and the face was a separate scan, and I think it did really good. Taking a look at the color mapping, I think it did a pretty good job of that as well. A few little hiccups here in the arm, but overall, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So the scanner is currently priced at $8.99 and it is on pre-order right now. So if you are looking to pick one up, I will put a link down in the description on where you can get this. So would I recommend the scanner? Absolutely. I think it works by far better than the other 5 or 6 that I've tested out. This one is just so much easier to use. The software is super simple. It connects really easily. There wasn't a whole lot of issues I had at all. I didn't really lose tracking, and it just overall worked really well. I didn't run into any problems whatsoever using it. Well, that's going to be it for this video, everybody. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below, ring the bell, get notified of all the new videos that come out. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.